its salt, and if it can do it one more time, that could be all MKOI needs to close this chapter on Vitality.
Testament does get a win there on the third fight of this game, despite being the augmented power player trying to play for the 5 loss.
Craftsmanship going to be the offer from Kale. That's going to give those Reforgers set up to make a little bit of additional econ if you do Reforge, but that could be worth it for someone like Dalisum, who is getting that latent forge, and it gives him the opportunity to get another shot, a reroll on that, if you will, but it does look like he actually went for Ahri instead, so no Reforger there.
It can be so strong. Maybe not right now. There aren't like too many emblems coming into play for most of our players, but if you're anticipating, you know, the 3-2 Prismatic, we saw 3 players with Trait Tree in Game 1. Having that Reforger can be so impactful in terms of trying to play into the really strong emblems and lines, like the Darkstar +1, the Space Groove +1, the Nova +1 even.
Getting back on board with Milk. He's found a 4th Akali, and of course still has that champion duplicator. So if he ends up finding, you know, that Kindred to pair up with this comp, getting to the Kindred 2 very early on can be so impactful. And since he knows he's contested Akali, it does make a lot of sense to use it to tempo to 8, get the Kindred online, and play for that style of this Nova composition.
Odessa, also one of the win streak players in this lobby for the Stage 2, does face off against Setsuko, who does have Anima online, trying to get a bit of a loss streak going, seeing if he's going to force anyone from MKOI to have to full open to try and stop the Anima streak. And of course, Setsuko is on Expedition, so he is happy to play into a lose streak anyway.
Looks like Revan is going to be going for that full open on his 4 loss to try and prevent Setsuko from completing that with Anima, but notably, Dhalsim can't really do so. He's playing around Cho'Gath, he's playing around the Lissandra. He has to keep the units, and he's likely to win those fights. He can position to attempt to grief Setsuko because he's also forced to play a unit, so there's a bit of a mind game there. But if you have 2 players going on this full open fort, you're going to be losing a lot of HP trying to prevent Setsuko from going on the loss streak, but Revan gets it.
And it's very fortunate for MKOI, very fortunate for Revan, because Revan had essentially 2 rounds to try and hit Setsuko. The moment 3-2 comes around and he gets his augmented power augment, he wants to start winning. He wants to start making a board and bouncing back. So a really good hit there on Setsuko at the end of this stage 2.
Going to hurt Vitality a little bit, but this is still Expedition, and he can just use the Anima to get little boosts. He doesn't have to go for the all-in and still have the opportunity to have a high cap around that Expedition on this game.
One thing I will mention from Milk, in the games he had yesterday against Flash Wolves, he only finished in 2 different positions. 8th or 1st. It was an 8th in Game 1 now. This is looking like a spot where Milk could potentially come in for a 1st, despite that loss there on the Akali reroll.
Yeah, it does take the loss to Odessa, who had the Silver Spoon to try and help with the levels, but of course that doesn't really make a difference when they were both at level 5, so it just came down to the board strength as a whole. So we do have Dhalsim. We're going to be seeing some big roll downs coming soon. He was very rich going into this with the full loss streak. Both he and Revan were able to complete 5 losses, and Odessa with the 5 wins. So streaks fully controlled by MKOI on this stage 2.
One of the benefits of the Cho'Gath Lissandra reroll for Dhalsim, it's very hard to grief the 1-cost rerolls. There's just so many copies in the pool. And you're rolling kind of in a very different place to the rest of the lobby. It's not like the Lulu where you can roll on 3-2 and everyone can hold copies.
And we'll see if he ends up rolling on 4 at all. Just going to allow him to get 1 turn, but he is going to level the 5 before sending it. And curious if he even fully goes for it, but just opening up board space and opening up the ability to hit the Mordekaisers as well for that Darkstar. But that's going to be all the way up to level 6, not going to go into this line.
Too far away, potentially, from just the natural copies of Cho'Gath and Lissandra on stage 2. We remember last game, he had literally Lissandra 3 already at this point in time, having essentially not rolled at all, it seemed like.
Yeah, so instead, looks like AP Flex, grabbing a lot of extra bows as well, so could just go for the Rage Blade and even consider just laddering to the Vex late game, but stopping for Shepard in the middle with that LeBlanc.
I talked about yesterday MKOI playing too safe, playing too humble, playing for placements. In this case, it's a very different game. We're seeing 2 players from MKOI, Dhalsim and Revan, both on 5 loss streaks, trying to bounce back and spike in a huge way later in the game. So already taking big risks, maybe trying to step up and become win-out players in stage 4 and stage 5.
And we do have Revan, it looks like will be taking yet another loss, but a much better one, as Dhalsim did go up to Level 6? Actually, no. Revan is going to take it. Dallasum will keep the loss streak. I'm not sure if that's exactly what they wanted since he pushed to level 6, but realistically, they're both going to break at some point. And we do have Prismatics coming from the augmented power players in Revan and Prestivant. So the rest of the lobby will be getting gold, and we do have these Prismatics coming through.
Kale gave craftsmanship. Revan has hit Trait Tree. He has a chance to reforge. We're seeing the triple reforge probably coming through there on the Ezreal. We'll see what Revan was able to get. Does he have any augments, or does he just continue reforging? He already has Darkstar. Does he reforge all three? He does. Stargazer, Timebreaker, Psionic. He finds Psionic yet again. Surprised he reforged Darkstar. He could have potentially thought about playing into the Aesol. Of course, you don't want to have the Rabadon slammed for the Darkstar line when you have just so much base stats already from the trait.
Meanwhile, Prestivant goes for Tiniest Titan, so holding on to a lot more HP over the course of the game, getting that healing every single round, that extra economy for Vitality, and that healing can make a lot of difference in 4v4, where you kind of have this shared health pool. You don't exactly, but you can use it to enable your teammates, and Prestivant recognizing that this was a valuable position for him to gain a lot of extra HP.
And it will be, of course, just Prismatics for Revan and Prestivant, who had the augmented power augment on to 1, going from gold to prismatic. For everyone else, it will be a gold augment.
And it's going to be a lot of combat power being picked up in the gold augment slot, except for that Earth's Gambit, which is going to give the opportunity for a potential emblem for Soju as well.
Really big win for Sappho there now on a 4-win streak. Odessa on a 7-win streak. Soju was the win-streaking player for Vitality, but that win streak has been cut on this AP Flex board.
Yeah, still just kind of controlling the streaks in the lobby. Dallasum on that 7 loss, Odessa on the 7 win, but Sappho now on a 4-win streak. Loss streaks not being as important anymore for MKOI, so Revan did lose his streak. Dallasum took a loss afterwards, but he's certainly trying to level up the board now as he did get that trait tree online.
A very aggressive level to 7 from Odessa to try and defend this win streak. Will punish his teammate a little bit. Revan is probably not very happy about this one. Getting bullied by his own teammate in stage 3, but Odessa has a really strong spot to play into the space group line. Really good items already on this Gwen. Has an early Ribbon as well, which is one of the duo carries you want in stage 4.
Yeah, and Odessa gets to do what Prestivant is trying to do naturally, right? Prestivant grabbed that Tiniest Titan. He's going to be able to get a lot of extra HP for the team. Odessa is just saving it by continuing to win. And he's getting a lot of gold for his trouble. So even though he pushes to level 7 so early, he's actually still on 40 gold. He's incredibly rich in this game.
Odessa is essentially playing kind of like he has Warpath. He had Silver Spoon, he leveled early, he continued pushing the lobby tempo, continued to pressure with the level ups, gets earlier, high value shops as well off the early level 7. So a really strong tempo play from Odessa across both of these stages.
Yeah, it looks like Sappho even just took the Kale to just get another item, just get another needlessly large rod, keep punishing the lobby as much as possible and not give time to the Vitality players to try and scale up and find that win equity, especially for someone like Soju who found the Earth's Gambit that can lead towards win out angles, or even Setsuko with the Expeditions. We'll see that cash out come later, and here is going to be Dallasum picking up his artifact from that latent forge.
And Dallasum very smartly has not committed to anything. He's only slammed 2 very generic tank items on the Rek'Sai. He said, you know what, I'm going to save all these rods and bows. I have the chance to play into really an AP line because he has so many rods already, but he can decide to play between LeBlanc. He can play Mech Aesol as well when he has an artifact synergy for the Mighty Mech, and has a solo plate as well. Could this potentially be a non-anima Mech Aesol game from Dallasum here?
Yeah, very possible as we see these item slams come through. It is just going to be JG Void Staff and Death Cap, so staying away from the LeBlanc line and going towards the direction you're talking about with that Aurelion Soul.
Really interesting HP spread as well here. We're seeing the sandwich maneuver from MKOI. First and second, huge win streaks for 2 of their players. Revan and Dallasum playing with very little HP, but trying to spike in a big way in stage 4. And Vitality taking all those middle spots.
Yeah, what I will note, though, is MKOI is continuing to deliver punishment to their own players. Odessa gave a big hit to Revan earlier on. Sappho now not able to sack for Dallasum at all, as Setsuko now just hits his cash out for Expedition, and he finds a Graves immediately, but he is going to sell it. Does have the AP line instead of the AD, so he's going to be looking for potentially a Sona instead, and does have that.
Maybe a consideration to have this early 3-6 Graves as a scaling win-out option with Expedition in particular, but I think, as you mentioned, he was too heavily leaning into the AP lines already. Has the early Nami, a very strong setup there with the Radiant Nashers as well as the JG and the Striker's Flail.
Going up against Dalisum, both of them very low, been on loss streaks. Setsuko with just hitting the cash out, even though Dalisum has put some big strength onto the board, there is the opportunity where this Radiant Nashor's Nami is just enough, but that is one tanky Mighty Mech on the front line, and just getting through that has just been proving to be a little too much. However, Dalisum is carrying a Lissandra 1, and that is not enough to deal with Setsuko's board either. And at the end, once the front lines have fallen, it is, of course, the Nami that comes out on top, and still danger for MKOI at the bottom with Revan and Dalisum.
A loss there from Setsuko into Dalisum would have been terrible news, considering this was that spike turn off the Expedition cash out for Setsuko. So a very important win. We're looking at the goal. He's going to have a lot of gold to roll with, but these two players are going for the same comp, the same pivotal units, the Nami, the Blitzcrank, the Riven.
Yeah, and they're both rich. It is very comparable. A little bit more EXP has already been pumped by Setsuko. However, when we look at the tie here, it's basically a dead even roll down that we're about to witness between these two. And it may just be feast or famine between these two. You have to find the front line. You have to find the Nami. Here is the push.
And if either player hits Nami 2 on this roll down and the other does not, the player who hits can tell his team, hey, I have my Nami, everyone start holding.
We're looking as they go. Nami pair picked up by Setsuko. He's got the last 10 gold to spend. He's rolling a bit faster. Does get to the Riven 2, but does not find the Nami. Just on the pair. Not a single Nami for Odessa, though.
This is shades of milk from game 1. The key unit for your comp has not been found. Doesn't matter how much HP you preserved in stage 2 and 3. Odessa's spot is now a little bit dangerous coming into stage 4.
Yeah, Setsuko still did not find any frontline upgrades either. It was actually just the Riven, which, while she can provide a little bit of bulk, it's not going to be much, and it comes down to this 3-item Tom Kench just having to hold the fort down. And Milk, not that strong either, so Setsuko's going to be able to do a lot of damage to him, which is unfortunate for Vitality, but with that being said, Setsuko is the one they want to protect for a few more rounds, as he does have a lot of cap-out potential from that Expedition.
All eyes going to be on Dalisum and Revan. They have to turn these lose streaks around. Revan is on his last life, 9 HP. Coming into this 4-2 roll down turn, Revan needs to do a lot here. We know Setsuko's very strong. We know he has the Nami 2 already, or is looking for the Nami 2, but with the Radiant, he's already turned things around. It's a 2-win streak.
Yeah, and Revan had very little gold, ends up taking Booster Pack to try and get a little bit more value in this spot. And he does have the LeBlanc too now. He finds the Sona. He's finding a lot of pieces for this composition. Even has a Blitzcrank to try and anchor that front line if he can get it up there, but not finding the 2-star frontliners, even though he gets the full Shepherd online to just have that tank for him.
On Dalisum's side, he has the Mighty Mech upgrade with the Artifact online, but he's missing the upgrade on the Aesol. He doesn't even have a pair of Aesols, and that could be pretty terrible news. The Morgana is found in the end. The 7 Shepherd is online for Revan. Will this be enough for stage 4?
Comes down to Milk. Can he get there with the Akali? It is just an Akali too, and Milk has spent a lot though to try and send Revan down in 8th place. See if this Akali can do it. The front line is so strong though with that Morgana upgrade, but Akali is since untouched, and the overall rot damage on the back line has been enough. Revan gonna take a big hit, and Milk gonna send him out 8th.
The front line there from Milk seemed to be unkillable. The Akali Gunblade doing so much for the team. And now Dalisum has to try and save his team. He cannot go 7th, or else MKOI is forced into a 1st and 2nd.
They have the HP to make it happen, but right now Odessa and Safo are both on loss streaks. They do have a lot of HP to work with, but not a lot of gold to spend, right? There's Safo on 0, Odessa on only 20 gold. They are at level 8, so they did have their big level 8 rolldowns to try and find everything that they can to complete their compositions, but trying to end up scaling into a full Vitality roster is going to be incredibly difficult. So they want to try and get Dalisum out of here, but the next lowest HP for Vitality is going to be Setsuko, who did have that full cash out on the Expedition.
Big fight here from Preston as well, who has the early Jhin, has the Boar, of course, on the Stargazer, still missing the Xayah upgrade we were talking about.
That's going up against Setsuko's Nami, so right here, kind of just looking for a small loss, and they get it. The 2-unit loss, very good for Vitality in that spot, as we do have the next Tribute. Just going to be a Chain Vest or 7 rerolls.
Dalesom has to go for the rerolls, I believe. He needs to find the Ace 2. We know Soju has an Ace 2 on his board. Preston had one on the bench, so Vitality is trying to target Dalesom, trying to send him out in 7th, trying to make the game very difficult for the remaining 2 MKOI players if Dalesom does go out in that position.
Yeah, and Preston does have the lowest life total for Vitality, but he has that tiniest Titan that's continually been ticking away and giving more health to this Vitality squad, letting them play to outlive Revan, to outlive Dalesom, because as much as Preston is getting low, if he can win any rounds, he starts to buy an even bigger buffer. If it can just buy a life here or there, it is enough for Vitality to get that win, sending MKOI to 7th and 8th. It is going to be really tough to find the 1-2 from MKOI's side.
Preston has said, no Xayah 2, no problem. I'm going to find a 5-cost 2-star instead. The Jhin 2 is now the ultimate carry for Preston here. Will it be enough? For now, he's facing off against Milk, who has done a fantastic job of preserving HP off of that early Akali. He's also holding a ton of Ace-Souls as well, so 3 distinct players from Vitality have in total, I think it's 8 copies of Ace-Soul between them, or 7 rather, 2 on each bench here, plus Soju's Ace-Soul 2.
Yeah, and that may just be enough to send Dalesom into 7th place. He takes a loss on this round, as Preston doesn't even need to win these rounds. If he just takes small losses, it's good enough, but he will beat Milk, and Milk with so much health has some despair, and it's not a bad loss once again. Vitality just taking these small incremental amounts of damage while still dispensing punishment upon MKOI.
And looking at Odessa's failed roll down, when we saw that split screen with Setsuko and Odessa, we're seeing the price he's had to pay for that as well. He has been donkey rolling on 8. He has been on a 5-loss streak. He's lost every single fight in stage 4, despite coming into it as the healthiest player in the lobby.
And I think a lot of that is just not having enough combat between Silver Spoon and reinforcements. Yes, he found the Nami, found the Riven, he found the Tahm Kench. He's found a lot of the units. There's not a lot of combat power there, with his only combat augment being Crash Test Namis, which is just a little bit more HP. It's not overall stats for the entire board.
That is him facing off against a potential elimination. He's on his last life. He's still on the Ace-Soul 1. He's staring at those 2 Ace-Souls on Preston's bench and saying, please, Preston, give them to me. But this Jhin, can it do enough damage by himself? The Xayah is not itemized. The Mighty Mech has been taken down. The Nunu Stun does not come through on Dalesom's side. And I think there's not going to be enough burst damage coming out from the Ace-Soul unless...
One more shot from Jhin. The Ace-Soul does get there. Dalesom's going to stay alive a little bit longer. Massive win for him. But for Preston, still tanking a couple small losses is doable, as he has that tiniest Titan, as Dalesom does get a big amount of gold here to try and find that Aurelion. He does have the pair now, but is that enough, as the rest of those copies are just being held?
I'm not even sure there are any copies left, considering how many are found, but no, there's one more Ace-Soul in the shop here for Dalesom. He doesn't have the gold. He has to sell something, surely.
Yeah, I mean, there's what is there to sell? I mean, he really just can't. If he sells the Mordekaiser, I guess, but even then, it's like, it feels so terrible to go for that.
You have to maybe open sell and just pray you can hit another Mordekaiser on that next roll.
Might just be the case. You need this 2-star.
You need it. You absolutely do.
I just don't think you can confidently win unless your pool is just 2 teammates and 1 Vitality member, and you think the risk is worth it.
Dalesom is the strategist for MKOI. This is one of the hardest decisions potentially in this series. I think he has to certainly sell something. Thinking it through, he has a whole another prep phase here on 5-1. His matchmaking pool, maybe if it's fully from the MKOI players, he can decide to hold out one more round. That might be the case. We'll see who he faces.
I mean, he must have MKOI members in his pool. He sees Odessa. Odessa has removed from the Nami. He is going to be able to escape without having to sell a unit and get the upgrade onto this Aurelion, unless...
Let's hope the Riven does not get onto the Ace-Soul early, but I mean, with the Nami items removed, this should be a fight win.
Yeah, even if that Aurelion soul was falling down early from a Riven. I think the Mighty Mech might just get the job done with there being no damage.
The Mighty Mech is quite mighty. We have confirmed that the Azel has been purchased. The griefs from Vitality do not do enough, although they have certainly slowed down Dalesom, and he is down to his last life. And look at the HP totals. Vitality so healthy. Milk and Soju have done so much to carry their team across stages 3 and 4. Prestivan continues to heal up with Tiniest Titans, and Setsuko has come from the very bottom and potentially become that win-out player on the Space Group line.
And expected with the Expedition early game. It's like Clemens said on the analyst desk, trust Setsuko to just find his way to the top. They let him pick Expedition at the start of this game, and he is converted. He's on this 7 win. He's got a lot of gold to be able to go 9 at this point. He has a lot of HP to spare with the team that they can give him lives if they need to. Not even sure that's going to be the case, but Dalesom has found the Aurelian, has found a lot of power onto this board, but will it be enough, especially with Odessa in free fall on a full 7 loss, though he has now gone to level 9 to try and level up this board even further.
Mighty Mech being taken down, but the rest of the board has already blown up from Safo. It will be a key win for Dalesom trying to dodge that 7th place position. Odessa, can he stop the free falling? That's the big question. It's a 7 loss streak now for Odessa.
Looks like he may have picked up that one. He does get a win on this round, so going to level 9, able to maybe find a little bit of stability. Will it be enough? Is Soju also able to go to 9, has the Aurelian with the full item upgrades there with the double death cap and the jeweled gauntlet. Sell a little bit, get the Nunu Blitzcrank, the front line starting to finally come together. Doesn't have the pairs for those, so it's going to be a bit of time before Soju is fully scaled up, but his composition is nearly there.
And Soju did go for a slightly lower cap with reinforcement on 4-2, trying to play high pressure to take out Dalesom and Revan early on in stage 4, although they have survived for now. It will be Dalesom up against the strongest player from Vitality. The 8 win streak for Setsuko up against the non-anima cash out Mech Aesol here. Is the artifact on the Mighty Mech going to be enough? Is the Karma Aesol duo carry able to carry the fight forward? Or in the end, is Dalesom going to go out in 7?
Well, Shen has made it on the back line, but he doesn't even need to be the one as the Nami gets one more big cast. Dalesom does go down in 7th, and it just comes down to Odessa. Will he be sent into this bottom 4 as well? He picks up a win in this fight. He's on a 2 streak now that he's made it to level 9. He's looking for the Blitzcrank 2 for full stability, but not there yet as Soju now on the 4 loss, but his board is relatively strong. The issue, of course, being the lack of combat power as he did take that reinforcement.
The bigger issue, in my opinion, is I don't think anyone from MKOI has win-out potential compared to Setsuko. I think the HP is also favoring Vitality right now. Vitality has done a great job in Stage 4 and Stage 5. They accomplished their ultimate goal, which was to create pressure and eliminate MKOI in 7th and 8th with Dalesom and Revan, who played a very risky early game, falling down to 1 or 2 lives coming to the late game.
Yeah, and that 3-2 Tiniest Titan just continuing to pay dividends for Prestivan on 23 life. He would have been gone by now, but of course it's been able to keep him healthy so that he can continue to spend HP for his team. As we do have Setsuko versus Safo, I mean, this is the fight to watch. If anybody's going to win for MKOI, it might be Safo, but if he can't take down Prestivan now, what hope is he going to have as Setsuko continues to scale the board? And we do have Kindred getting on to the Nami, but one more cast would do it, does not get there. So a fight win for Safo, but just barely.
Surprising win from Safo, in my opinion. The Kindred dishing out so much damage, melting the front line. The Nami not able to get that final cast off while targeting the Kindred was the deciding factor. Soju on his last life as well, getting those last few little upgrades, not able to really pivot this board to the ultimate form because he played for a lower cap stage 4. He's still on the Aesol and Victor instead of the Bard and the Sona, for example. Is this going to be enough with just the Voyager +1?
Yeah, I think not being able to convert this front line, Nunu still 1 star, Blitzcrank still 1 star. If he's able to find those upgrades, there's a world that this board can still be strong enough, but it's just not there. And he's going to go up against Odessa, who once again has been able to put together an incredibly powerful front line. 3 items on the Riven alongside 3 items on that Nami, and the damage is just coming through. It is way too much. The front line not being upgraded is far too much. So
the Riven on the Aesol.
Get the Aesol to take down the Nami, but the Riven gets there as well. Odessa's gonna find the win. Milk just going up against Setsuko. Setsuko looks like he sacks for Milk just to try and hold out a little bit longer. And that may come back to bite them as Setsuko is now just on a single life as the potential best win-out angle for Vitality. As Odessa and Safo both on 19 life, they are 2 lives, which likely means they're both squeaking into this top 4, but they need to go 1 and 2 to make it happen.
This might be all about the Blitz 2 upgrade for both Setsuko and Odessa. The potential, I think, players with the highest win out after Safo's last loss. And the Riven there against the Aesol from Soju, that's a counter to Riven, to melee units. The Conduit Aesol targeting the tank, but also hitting the Riven. She danced out of the way, came back, killed the tank, and then killed the Aesol as well. A crazy fight there.
It was crazy. She danced out of the way, and Aesol ended up hitting the Nami, which almost made it so that there was the ability for Odessa to go down. But the Riven getting there at the end takes out the Aesol, and it makes it happen. So looking at those Blitzcrank rolldowns, pair for Setsuko, but he's out of money. Pair for Odessa. Pair for each. They have to try and find that upgrade. A couple more rolls available for Odessa. Now Setsuko has sold board, and he's just looking to try and hold in grief. At this point, not able to find anything, but Setsuko recognizing maybe he's weaker than the rest of the team.
MKOI needs to go exactly 1 and 2 to win this game 2, to finish off the series against Vitality. Setsuko understands that maybe Milk and Preston are in a better spot to deny this.
Yeah, this is surprising. I felt like the Expedition player, I felt like Setsuko's spot was very strong, but Vitality has identified him as the weak link, which kind of gives some info as to why he sacked for Milk earlier, but Milk not able to beat Safo, and Milk goes down. It's entirely up to Prestivant, who this entire time has been scaling his HP with Tiniest Titans, and he has a bunch of gold to go to level 10. Level 10 with Xayah upgrade. Upgrade on the Jhin, on the Boar. We talked about Xayah on the very first turn of this game as being a potential comp that can come out in force on the Boar Stargazer, and it may be the end for Vitality if Prestivant cannot take this W.
Prestivant has to be the hero. Odessa and Safo should still be on 2 lives, so Prestivant has a lot of work cut out for him. And Odessa has a lot of times to still hit the Blitz too, which could be the deciding factor in this next fight. This is not the final stage for either Safo and Odessa. They are facing each other. They need the smallest loss possible from either player.
Yeah, they need a very tiny loss because they must go first and second. With Dawson and Revan in that 7th, 8th spot, all Prestivant has to do is make it to 2nd place. He does not need to win this lobby, as that is a very small hit on Odessa. They successfully do not send him out. So now they just need back-to-back wins against Prestivant, and they can make it happen. But Prestivant still scaling HP with Tiniest Titans.
The gold injection for Odessa. Does he find the Blitz too? He does find the Shen, but doesn't have the gold to buy it. And this is why Setsuko went out early. He was trying to force the fight between Safo and Odessa, knowing that Prestivant is healing up with Tiniest Titan. He has a chance to stay alive for longer and let maybe Safo and Odessa eliminate each other in 3rd place.
Well, they only have 2 shots. He may just have to sell something to get the Shen, and he does. Finds a second Pantheon, I believe, to sell the 2-star Pantheon, get the Shen, upgrade the board, and now Odessa versus Prestivant to see if they can even hold out at all, or if Prestivant will bring this home for Vitality and send us to a game 3. All the damage there from the Jhin and the Xayah, but the front line starting to crumble for Prestivant. The Nunu holding it down, gets the CC out, but does not get a second cast. Frontline crumbles on both sides. It's just the Nami. She's taken out. Prestivant holds strong for Vitality, and we're going to a game 3.
The Nunu did so much work. Double stun on both the Nami and the Riven. The Riven did not have the DPS to get into that backline early, to get onto the Jhin and onto the Xayah. Prestivant, the hero for Vitality in this game number 2. We have a tied series. We have an incredible game 3 coming up.
Yeah, it's the big difference between having Setsuko on Expedition. It feels like he's supposed to be the hero of this game, but Prestivant did go augmented power early on. He had Tiniest Titan scaling him from 3-2, making sure he could have help to have time to tank some losses, get the gold up so that he can go to level 10 and actually cap even higher.
HP is everything in 4v4, and Prestivant has proved it. He ties up the series. We're 1-1 between MKOI and Team Vitality. We're going to a game 3.
Is in our DNA. Whenever we let it out, it becomes our superpower. Now imagine an entire city being built to supercharge it.